What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and if you're enjoying the content here on my channel, then make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit subscribe so you can help decide what direction the content on my channel goes in the foreseeable future. So with Alien Covenant really coming out this weekend, what I wanted to do is make a video where we just kind of run over the different xenomorph types. And I feel like having covered the Alien comics, we've really gotten through like the first two stories, really Aliens Book 1 and Book 2. And so because of that, I think it gives us, really kind of a perfect ground to begin the process of sort of expanding on the alien mythos and then sort of building from there. Of course, the next one is basically the Female War, which deals with the introduction of the Queen Mother, which is this wildly powerful xenomorph. We'll actually talk about that in this video, but a little bit of background for those people who are, of the age now where they're just now getting into the Xenomorph franchise and don't really know anything about it. The Xenomorphs are the primary antagonists of the Alien series, and regardless of their type, there are certain common traits that all Xenomorphs share, ranging from the life cycle of the cocoon-like egg to the face hugger to the chest burster, then the adult stage, and eventually the queen. Regardless of what stage they are in the cycle, they share acidic blood and pronounced toughness. Now, take into account, the story has changed over the course of the movie series as well as the comics, and so there are slight variations between the movies and the franchise itself as well as the comics. A really good example of this is that in Aliens, James Cameron established that aliens procreate by virtue of a queen that plants eggs. But in the original Alien series, there was a deleted scene where Ripley ended up finding out that the way aliens basically reproduce is by taking over hosts and then essentially converting them into cocoons, basically rematerializing them. Now, because of the fact that Alien and Aliens had two wildly different forms of xenomorph reproduction, most people have really just kind of gone with the assumption that the reproduction process seen in the first Alien film in the director's cut is basically the process that's undertaken when no queen is available. And so a human being or any kind of organic material is converted into a cocoon. The facehugger will impregnate a new host, it'll impregnate it with a queen, and then the queen reproductive cycle will begin. So again, it's just kind of reconciling these two things in order to make them work together. Now, the life cycle begins in the egg stage or the cocoon stage, depending on what you want to call it. When the cocoon detects life, it opens out, and an ambush predator that vaguely resembles a crab emerges and attaches to the host's face, cutting off the airway if they're threatened. They put a tube-like appendage down the creature's throat and insert a larva into the host creature's chest cavity. Now, after a short gestation phase, the larva bursts out of the host, more often than not, killing them in the process. And also during the gestation process, the larva absorbs part of the host creature's DNA, taking on certain characteristics of the host creature itself, hence the variation in the xenomorphs that have been revealed over the course of the movies. And so from the larva stage, it evolves pretty rapidly, often taking only a couple of hours to grow into an adult form. Now, in all the forms of xenomorphs, again, they share acidic blood and toughened skin, and ability to survive the extremes of space. Although it has been shown, like it was in Alien 3, that when subjected to rapid heating followed by rapid cooling, xenomorphs are susceptible to these extreme rapid changes in temperature and will ultimately respond in relation to these changes, whether it be that they just simply freeze up or they explode or whatever the case may be. Now, during the adult stage is when xenomorphs are at their most dangerous. When they're adults, they're usually significantly larger than their hosts, and despite their size, they're extremely stealthy, able to move nearly silently, move just as quickly hanging from the ceiling as they do on the ground. Now, while seeming to have primate-level intelligence, they also have a protective exoskeleton, a long flexible tail with a spear-like end, and an elongated domed head, as well as an inner mouth like a moray eel for attacking their opponents. The exoskeleton seems to be made of polarized silicone, which is a heat and cold resistant flexible polymer, which also protects it from small arms fire and most melee weapons, although high-powered shotguns, pulse rifles, and smart guns can penetrate this exoskeleton. Now, the number one most powerful alien on the list in the cinematic universe would have to be the alien commonly referred to as the Newborn. Appearing in Alien Resurrection, the Newborn was a result of attempts to recover and clone Ellen Ripley and the alien queen that was growing inside of her. Virtually all of the alien clones showed some human traits. The clone queen was born with a womb instead of the means to reproduce an egg sac and gives birth to a humanoid mutant. Now, while the original director Joss Whedon intended for the creature to be an eyeless, pale white quadruped with red veins on his head and an additional pair of pincers on its head and to be the size of the queen, replacement director director Jean-Pierre Jeunet decided to make it the human-alien hybrid that appears on screen. Now, human features were also added to the newborn, such as red eyes and a nose to give emotional value to his expressions, and regardless of his appearance, it is shown easily killing the queen alien when they failed to bond, and was only killed when Ripley splashed acidic blood against a hole in the spaceship window, causing the newborn to be pinned and its organs to be sucked through the opening. Now, the second most powerful xenomorph shown so far in the cinematic universe is the Queen. At maturity, a queen dwarfs the common alien, appearing to be nearly 15 feet tall, possessing acidic blood and the polarized silicone of the drones, as well as an extra set of arms, although when she is in the position of reproduction, she appears to be trapped in a lattice resembling insect legs, and she has an egg sac called an ovipositor on her lower torso, similar to a termite queen, and simply begins the process of laying eggs. Now, unlike other insect hives such as bees and ants, there appears to be no need of male drones to inseminate these eggs. Generally, the eggs hatch into face huggers, but in Alien vs. Predator Requiem, the Strauss brothers who directed the film stated that they wanted to add an extra step to the alien mythos, that of being a way for a young queen to directly deposit multiple chestburster embryos like a facehugger and build its army up before it had to grow an egg sac and would fail to defend itself. Now, the third most powerful alien in the cinematic universe would have to be the Predalien. Featured in the Alien vs. Predator comics and games, as well as the Alien vs. Predator movies, it's large and more muscular than the human-spawned aliens, and it shows how much stronger it is than the predators as it bats them away and pins them with relative ease. They also show an ability to build a hive without facehuggers, as the scene where the Predalien was able to deposit multiple chestburster embryos into a single host. Now, the least most powerful of the aliens in the cinematic universe would have to be the dog alien or runner alien as seen in Alien 3. Spawned from a dog alien in the theatrical cut, the only difference between the runner alien and the traditional xenomorph drone is that it runs on 4 legs and is able to spit acid from its mouth. Now, aside from the xenomorph in the main cinematic movies, there was also a series of non-canon versions set in the fictional universe of the Alien films, most of which followed the Weyland-Yutani Corporation and the United States Colonial Marines. Following characters introduced in the movie like Ellen Ripley, Newt, and Corporal Hicks, the comics and books explored other aspects of the xenomorphs, lending insight into how the aliens functioned. In Aliens Kidnapped, there appears the mutated chestburster. Hatching from a pink egg, it emerges from the host body as a black chestburster. Its slime trail carries a disease that causes victims to go delirious and eventually explode. In the comic book series Alien Colonial Marines, on the water planet of Bracken's world, the aliens there are greatly different from the other species. Perhaps assimilated from whale-like creatures, they appear as alien queens with their upper body, while the lower body is whale-like with the exception of tentacles. Now, the white hybrids appear in Alien vs. Predator Deadliest of Species. A computer system named Toy created the white hybrids, which possess traits of aliens, predators, and humans. Their blood is not nearly as acidic as that of the typical xenomorphs, and they are capable of speech and wielding firearms. In addition to this, they're also led by a king alien instead of a queen, and their facehuggers are capable of impregnating normal aliens. Eloise appears in Aliens Purge in Alien vs. Predator Pursuit. Created by Sabaris 503, she is a prototype combining the best traits from alien queens, humans, and androids. In her debut, she settled on another planet with humans who have a condition that represses their chestbursters. She, like an alien queen, has a group of alien warriors in which she's able to beat back a combined force of the predators and humans. Appearing in the Aliens comic series Earth War, Female War, and Genocide, the Queen Mothers are the supreme rulers of the xenomorph species. Even other queens bow down to the Queen Mother. Similar to the Queen Bee, they're surrounded by orbs that contain the royal jelly in which a drone or a warrior can become a new Queen Mother in the case that the current one dies. And the Queen Mother possesses telepathic and empathic powers, and they can call to their hive from vast distances. In Aliens Rogue, the Rogue or King alien was introduced. Engineered by human scientists, the Rogue alien was designed as a biological weapon that would help rid Earth of its alien infestation. While the scientist who created the Rogue alien, Dr. Ernst Kleist, believed that the alien's superior size and strength would allow it to dominate the Queen, this theory is proven to be wrong, as the Queen's superior agility and speed allows her to wear down and destroy the Rogue. Now, the Praetorian serves as the royal guard of the alien Queen. Appearing in multiple comics, in some cases, the Praetorian also acts as drones who inseminate the Queen. They possess a crown-shaped head crest, much like the Queen, and in the comics have been shown to have a second pair of arms protruding from the torso like the Queen itself. The Praetorian are also the most confusing alien cast to pin down because different comic and video games have taken creative license with the alien species. So in some media, they're depicted as the final growth stage of a drone, while other media portray them as hatching from special eggs. But regardless of their birthing process, they're usually shown to be protectors of the Queen and are able to spit acid as one of their attacks. Now, the Empress is essentially the Queen of Queens, queens, meaning that her hive has expanded to the point where multiple queens are needed to maintain the numbers of the hive itself. The Empress's body and crest are larger than the common queen, as well as having 3 spires on the crest itself. The matriarch was introduced in the original Aliens vs. Predator game and is the oldest known alien queen. 2 spires appear on the crest of the matriarch, a bony ridge of spines adorn the back, and the matriarch's face is scarred, missing chunks of flesh from around the head region, indicating extensive and experience in combat. The ARACHNOID appears in the arcade game Alien vs. Predator, and besides being black and purple, they simply excel at jumping attacks. The CHRYSALIS also appears in the Alien vs. Predator arcade game. Being about the same size as the Praetorian, they possess a greenish exoskeleton with a hard tan carapace on its head, back, and forearms, and it attacks by rolling itself along the ground like a ball. Another type of xenomorph appears in the Alien vs. Predator arcade game, nicknamed the Defender, and it has a bluish tint to its carapace and is extremely resistant to projectiles and hand-to-hand attacks. In the video game Alien 3: The Gun, there is a variation of the runner alien seen in the movie Alien 3. There's also a fully mature super dog alien that's capable of launching purple balls of acid from its mouth. Now, there are also flying aliens that appear in several video games, like Aliens Extermination and the NES version of Alien vs. Predator. The flying alien possesses wings and is nicknamed the Alien Dragon in the Extermination video game, and in the Kenner toy line, there's also a flying alien queen. Also in the arcade game Alien vs. Predator, the Infectoid was introduced. In this instance, a facehugger was modified for use as a bioweapon, and instead of the victims being sedated, hosts of the altered facehuggers were put into a zombie-like state and attack any intruder in the area. And if the altered facehugger implants a predator, they go into a berserker rage, attacking anything that moves. The K-series was introduced in Alien vs. Predator Extinction by Dr. Samuel Kadinsky. The primary difference in the K-series xenomorphs is their yellow and white color instead of the black color seen in the typical xenomorph species. A hive war eventually destroyed them as the natural xenomorphs attacked the K-series in an effort to keep their gene line pure. The carrier was introduced in Alien vs. Predator Extinction. The carrier alien is a xenomorph that evolved from the Praetorian. Their exoskeleton is not as thick and they are more vulnerable to fire, but they carry 6 to 12 facehuggers on their spines, and it can even hurl facehuggers at its enemies. The Ravager was also introduced in Extinction and is one of the largest alien species ever created. Their claws are exaggerated and able to decapitate enemies in one slice. The claws are also powerful enough to tear through armor and even a starship's hull. They're also able to heal much faster than the common xenomorph and are single-minded killing machines, making no effort to spare enemies for the cocooning process. In Alien vs. Predator 2: Primal Hunt, the Pred Alien Queen is first introduced. It results in the alien facehugger impregnating a predator and the resulting drone evolving into a queen. Now, how the Pred Alien appears is according to the media, as they vary from comic book and video game appearance. In the video game series, the Pred Alien possesses a stockier physique and dreadlocks similar to the predator themselves. The mandibles have replaced the inner mouth in the normal alien, but in Primal Hunt, the Pred Alien is capable of using its mandibles to instantly crush and consume the head of its enemy. In the arcade game Alien vs. Predator, the Razor Claw was first introduced. Its coloration being closer to purple, it has extremely large claws on its fingers. It's quicker than a normal xenomorph and is capable of cutting a human in half. It's also believed the Razor Claw is the result of genetic manipulation, but it's never been verified. Also in the arcade game is a Smasher, which appears brown and green and attacks by charging like a ram. Like most xenomorphs in the arcade game, they were added as variety of creatures to fight, so little information is known about them. In the Aliens Colonial Marines, the Crusher alien makes an appearance. Having a much wider and heavily muscled body than the normal xenomorph, as well as a wider crest, the Crusher is able to smash through steel doors if needed to reach its prey. And finally, in the PC version of the Aliens vs. Predator game, there appears to be a Xenoborg. They appear to be both mechanical and biological and can simply fire laser blasts. But with that being said, guys, I thought it'd be kind of fun to just run over the different versions of the xenomorph that exists in the realm of pop culture and media and so on and so forth. Let me know if you guys still want to see more xenomorph stuff. We still have like the Female War, which is actually a pretty cool story. It features the return of Ellen Ripley in the Alien comics. I like it. It's really one of my favorite ones. But if you guys are new here to Comics Explained and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you drop a like button, or make sure you hit the like button. Also make sure you hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. And yeah, I will catch you all later. Peace.